Alexa, pause. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming a video which is going to be my spring and summer book recommendations for this year. I don't have too many. I did kind of realise I don't really read that many summery books, but I do have a few. I've tried to get some from every genre, but rom-coms I have multiple, and then I think with thrillers, literary fiction and fantasy I only have one each, because I found that a lot harder, especially with thrillers and fantasy, to figure out one. So they're not necessarily summer reads, but I feel like out of the ones that I've read, they are the most related to summer somehow. I don't have all the books physically, but the ones I do I will show you, and the rest of them I have a list on my phone. So yeah, let's get into it. I feel like the queen of summery rom-coms is, of course, Emily Henry, which, oh, I'm being attacked by that book. I obviously have every single copy of Emily Henry books that are currently out. Funny Story will be coming out soon, and I haven't read it yet, but I probably already recommend it because I just know I'm gonna love it. I think all of these three are set in summer, but Beach Read is set over spring and summer because it's set over multiple months, but I think these three are all set in a couple weeks. My favourite out of these books is Beach Read, which is a book about January and Gus, who are both authors. They're both struggling with writer's block, and January moves in next to Gus. They become friends and they kind of strike up a deal where they're going to swap genres. So January will try to write a literary fiction that's more like dark and not like a happy ending, and Gus is going to try and write a rom-com. And they take each other on these little excursions to kind of try to teach each other about their genres. So that is probably the least summery one, although it's called Beach Read, but it's still perfect to read in summer. Then we've got Happy Place, which is her most recent release, and this one is very summery. I do feel that these two are the most summery out of Emily Henry's books. So this one, Harriet and Wynne break up, but their friends are go on holiday every year, and they're going on this holiday, I think it was like maybe their final one, so they didn't want to ruin it, so they pretend that they are still dating and they fake date whilst they're on holiday. And then You and Me on Vacation is set over multiple years, because so is this one, sorry, this one has flashbacks in it, and so does this one, because this is set over multiple years of Poppy and Alex, who are best friends, and they go on a trip every single summer, but 2 summers ago it goes wrong. They don't go on a trip for 2 summers, and then Poppy reaches out to Alex again and they go on another final trip together. And then Book Lovers is about Nora and Charlie, who I believe, yeah, Charlie's an editor and Nora's a literary agent. They kind of have this encounter, is it like a year ago? 2 years. So 2 years ago Nora and Charlie have this encounter together, and it's not very positive. They don't really like each other, but then Nora goes on this trip with her sister to this little town, and Charlie ends up being there. But all these books are super summery, perfect to just read on the beach, and if you haven't read any of Emily Henry's books yet, then I'm so jealous of you, and please pick one up. Next, in terms of a rom-com, I have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Costin. I don't believe this is set in summer. I'm not actually sure when it's set, but just the cover of it is summery, and I just think it's nice to read just a sweet short rom-com in summer. And I think this would be really good to read on the beach. Basically what this book is about is Clementine has this apartment that when she goes into it at one time, she comes home from work, she goes into it, and it's 7 years in the past when this man lives there. And then sometimes when she comes into her apartment, he is there. Then when she comes out of her apartment, it's 7 years in the future again, it's back to normal, but her apartment time travels, and it's basically them just falling in love. And the last rom-com that I'm going to recommend for summer reads is Love and Other Words, which is by Christina Lauren, and I'm so surprised I don't have the physical copy of this. It's because I really like the UK cover. Like, the UK cover before they changed it was bad, and I still don't really like it now. I would like to get it soon because I do want to reread it, but basically it is about 2 best friends from childhood. She had like this house that they'd go to in the summer, and it would be near him, and they would hang out and they were best friends, and they started dating, but things went wrong, and you don't really know what went wrong. It's just they stopped talking, they bump into each other again, and the book basically has flashbacks to when they were younger and then the present of them kind of like seeing each other again and making up with each other. Next I have a few books from different genres. So in terms of literary fiction, I have Carrie Soto is Back. I think this book would be perfect to read in summer. I can't remember if I read this in summer, but it's definitely giving the summer vibes. Carrie Soto is this world-renowned tennis champion, and she retires, but she wants to come back and win one final. I don't know what it's called. One final, like, I can't think of the word, but like the tennis tournament. She wants to win one final tournament so she can claim back her world record that another woman broke since she retired. So it's basically her, after she's retired, trying to get back into shape to beat all these people in tennis, and it brings you through her training and all her matches, got newspaper reports in there, people's opinions on her, and it was just really good. I have no interest in tennis. I don't really know anything about it other than what I know from the Wii, playing tennis on the Wii, but that is it. Like, I know nothing about tennis, but I absolutely loved this book. I gave it 4.5 star, and everyone should read it. Another great book by Taylor Jenkins Reid is Malibu Rising, which is also perfect for the summer. It's basically about Nina Rivera, who is a swimsuit model. I think she had famous parents, and flashes back in the story to a storyline about her parents. But in the present storyline, the siblings, they throw a party every year for big famous people, and the present basically takes place over like a day from the night before this party to the night of this party, where everything basically goes up in flames. And that's not a spoiler, I think it does tell you at the start. But everything basically goes up in flames. It's just how we get there. It's just really interesting because you get a more deeper side to the story with kind of Nina's point of view and how she feels about her life, and also about her parents and their story. You also get the crazy storyline of the party that just goes absolutely wild and out of control. I honestly didn't expect to like it, but I really did, and I think it would be perfect for summer. In terms of a thriller, I couldn't really think of a thriller to recommend for this, but I went with The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager just because it features a lake, and that was the closest I could come from all the thrillers I've read. I feel like thrillers are set in gloomy times. This could be set in the summer. I think it's mid-October, so it's not based in summer, but I just thought the lake is the closest thing I can have, and I wanted to include every genre that I read in here. This was the recommendation for that, and I do feel like this would be a good thriller to read in the summer as far as thrillers go, because a lot of them are quite gloomy, and this one is too, but it's based on a lake. I feel like that gives more of a summer vibe. In this book we follow the main character, who I believe is in the public eye, and she escapes to this lake house because her husband passed away and she just wants some peace and quiet, but she becomes mesmerised by the couple opposite the lake, opposite her, and she's watching them, and she thinks like they're the most glamorous couple. They kind of remind her of her and her husband, and then things start going weird, and we see in the present, I think when we start this book, that she has a detective in her house, and she has a man like bound and gagged upstairs, and she has a detective asking her questions, and it's how we got from the point where she was just watching this glamorous couple to having a detective and a man gagged and bound upstairs. In terms of fantasy, for the last book, my recommendations, I honestly could not think of a fantasy, so in the end, with the spring vibes, I thought maybe we could go with A Court of Thorns and Roses, as this takes place in the spring court, the first book. Throughout the book it gets like less summery, but I thought this had a little bit of brightness to it, and I just think everyone should get into this series, and also the books are really bright colours, and I just think it would be nice to just have a read of them in summer, and I might reread them in summer as well. I always find it so hard to describe Court of Thorns and Roses, but we follow Feyre, who is a human, and in this world there are human and there are fairies, and there is a wall that separates their lands, and she is a human and she goes out hunting for her family because her family are poor and they can't afford to eat, and she shoots this wolf and it is actually a fairy, and so she gets taken by Tamlin into the fairylands away from her family, and it's basically just following what happens after that. I'm not going to say anything else because I never know what to say about this book without spoiling stuff, but that is what this book is about. I feel like that was a very, very short video. Might be one of my shortest videos, but as you can see, I don't really read very many summer reads. I would say a few honourable mentions would be Every Summer After, which is quite similar to Love in Other Words. So if you do like Love in Other Words, then Every Summer After by, I think it's Carly Fortune, is a good one. It does have a trope in there that some people and me kind of found a bit icky, so I didn't give it 5 stars like I gave Love in Other Words, but that one is also a good one and I did still enjoy it. We also have The Infinity Between Us by Ennis Perkins, which I can't remember too much about, which is why I didn't put it as one of the main recommendations because I can't really remember too much about it, but I think it's kind of a similar trope. I feel like all these like summer rom-coms are quite similar tropes where it's like they were friends and they went to summer house and saw each other all the time when they were younger, and then they have this big falling out and they don't see each other again until like 10 years later. So I think it's another one like that. They live next door, they're like friends and they fall in love a bit, and then there's this big thing that happens and they have to leave, and then in the future she comes back to sell the house that they used to live in, and the boy who she grew up with is still there. So yeah, a lot of those books follow the same tropes, but they're all pretty good, so I would recommend that one as well. I hope you enjoyed this video of recommendations for spring and summer reads. If you read any of them, please let me know. Please let me know your thoughts, or reread some of them if you've read them already, because I am definitely going to be rereading some of these for the spring and summer months. I can't wait for them right now because it is pouring outside. Yeah, if you can think of any more, please leave them in the comments below, especially for the other genres, not just rom-coms, because I really struggled with that. Follow me on my Instagram, which is @_libraryofeden, and my TikTok, which is also @_libraryofeden. Give this video a thumbs up, comment again your summer read recommendations, and if you're going to read any of these, and subscribe down below, and I will see you in my next video very, very soon. Bye!